What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Golf 360 podcast. I'm the host, Pete Popovich. So you may be asking yourself, what is Golf 360? And Golf 360 is a show that was designed to introduce you to people associated with the game of golf to help you improve not only at your game, but also your life. Almost all of our guests are from within the industry in some way, shape, or form, but some of the guests we have are from outside the industry, and it mainly revolves around the business world with a few others scattered in here and there. Now, all of the guests that we have a few things in common. One, they all were highly successful and accomplished in their field. Two, each has something to pass along that will help you in your game and your life. And three, they were all more than willing to give back by passing along the things that they use to help them in their career, and even some of the mistakes that they made so that others don't make them in their journey. So I hope you find listening to them as enjoyable as I did interviewing them, and that each and every one of you benefits from the information that they so willingly and graciously pass along. This podcast is brought to you in part by Just Thrive Probiotic. You may be surprised to learn that your digestive system is the key to creating and maintaining the quality of your physical, mental, and emotional health, and it's one of the body's most essential systems. That's why the majority of nutritionists today highly recommend probiotics as an indispensable nutritional supplement. As a discriminating consumer, you've probably been searching for a probiotic that is proven, potent, and effective, and you found it. Just Thrive is your best choice for maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Just Thrive Probiotic captures the power of hundreds of thousands of years of nature's design with a specialized bacillus strain formulation that guarantees survivability through the stomach and upper digestive system. Supports optimum gut health, digestive health, immune health, and delivers antioxidants. Great for adults, kids, and the whole family. Use promo code GOLF360 at www.thriveprobiotic.com for 10% off your order. This podcast is brought to you in part by Old South Golf Links. A short ride across a bridge from Hilton Head Island is one of the area's finest golf courses and a hidden treasure. Set up on towering pines and ancient oaks with sweeping marsh vistas, truly makes Old South Golf Links a one-of-a-kind golfing experience. The Clyde Johnson design was named one of the top 10 new public courses when it opened, and it also takes full advantage of the natural beauty of the Low Country. Old South is a fun and unique challenge for golfers of every skill level and a favorite of both locals and visitors. Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular, you'll be treated and feel like family. From the bag drop to check-in at the fully stocked pro shop with both men's and women's apparel, to breakfast or lunch before or after your round, the staff is always ready and willing to help. Experience for yourself why Old South is one of the premier golf courses in the Hilton Head area and why it will quickly become a favorite of yours too. Visit them in person or online at www.oldsouthgolf.com, or to make it tee time, simply call the pro shop at 843-785-5353. Hello, golfers. Have you ever wondered what an elite level coach and their top ranked players work on? Well, today I don't have just one guest on, I have three, and they all fit that moniker, and that one is a top 100 coach and two of his superstar students. We get an awesome look behind the curtain of what elite level golf looks like and their training, what they work on, how they figure those things out, the coaching relationship and how that evolves over time from junior golf when they're kids to big time college golf as they're young adults, and they're not only making the transition to a new level in their game, but also learning how to be on their own, be responsible young individuals. And then after that, the jump from the Division I ranks into the professional ranks, where they're also now adults and have to take care of themselves. We also get into what they work on, be it preseason, in-season, and postseason, how they determine what the weaknesses are, how they measure those things, how they figure out what they need to improve. All of these things, these guys just give a great insight into all that. And so I have a top 100 coach. He is also the director of instruction. He is a PGA Master Professional. He also has a master's degree in pedagogy, as well as a long list of certifications from institutions such as TPI. The two students he has are both highly, highly accomplished golfers from the junior ranks. they're also both Division I golfers. One is currently a senior at the University of Virginia, and the other was an All-American at Clemson University, and he just finished up his first season of playing professionally on the Canadian Tour. These are some really, really great guys, and it was a blast sitting down with them talking about everything that I just went over. And I'm sure you're going to love getting to know them and listening to their stories and what they do as much as I did talking to them. So please give it up for a top 100 coach, Tim Cooke, and his two superstar golfers, Andrew Orischak and Bryson Nimmer. All right, boys, we are rocking and rolling. I got the super studs here with their top 100 coach. How you guys doing?
Well, it's good, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
So we're at the start of the holiday season. You guys got some time off. Good to shut it down, or are you anxious to get back at it already?
A little anxious, but it's good to get some rest, I think. It's always good to kind of shut it down for a little bit.
A lot of travel?
A lot of travel.
Andrew, how about you? You ready?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of chomping at the bit. I've taken a little bit of time off since our last tournament with school golf. I think that was like mid-October, so I kind of got the bug again, ready to work with Tim and work in the off-season a little bit.
Tim, you slowed down, or you got educational stuff? What you got?
So actually, this time of year is a fun time of year for me because I have a lot of college kids who come back into town. So it's kind of like Andrew, like start the improvement plan of the for the winter. How are you going to get better for the spring? How are you going to set it up for the next year? So actually, like from Thanksgiving through early January, I'm really busy between college guys, pros, whether they're like in between seasons, getting ready to kick off Corn Ferry or PGA, or getting ready to go to Corn Ferry Finals. So there's a lot of different players going different angles. So some folks slow down. I say this is like one of my busiest times of the year.
It's good for the off season for our area, right? So you got the college kids and the pros coming in. Keeps you on your toes?
Keeps me on toes, yes. A lot going on.
Bryson, I want to ask you, is pro golf what you thought it was going to be? Or is it more of a grind? Or
I think it's pretty close to what I thought. There's definitely some aspects that are different, I think, compared to any other level of golf. Just the travel and everything changes a little bit, and you have to learn how to manage your time differently. But pretty much the same. The golf's a little different itself, but you kind of get used to it as you go.
The challenge is more kind of you're managing yourself now? Is that?
Yeah, for the most part. I'd say it's just you kind of have to manage your time really well. In college, that's kind of all done for you. And you get to an event, and now you kind of have to say, like, okay, I got 3 days to get ready. I'm going to do this one day. I'm going to use a practice round this day, and then I might just take a break right before. So it's just kind of learning how to do that on a weekly basis.
Andrew, how about you? The jump from junior golf to now you're in your senior year at Virginia.
Yeah.
What was that? What was the difference there that you noticed?
There's a couple of differences. Overall, it's just the level of play, I would say, honestly. And just the golf IQ that comes with your 4 years at college, I guess. Junior golf, you're kind of just out there hitting fairways, hitting greens, and if you shoot 72, 73, you kind of got a spot in college. But in college, it's just really not good enough. A little more attention to detail and just kind of learning from our coaches at school and through the system, kind of how much more goes into it, I would say, than I realized in junior golf.
Tim, what did you do to prep these guys as they were going from junior to Division I big time golf? Because they both played at esteemed universities, and then Bryson going to pro. Did you sit them down, or was it a progression to say, hey, 2 years from now you're going to need this. We're going to start to implement it now.
I think it's a progression, and it's very cliche, but it's different with everybody. So from Andrew to Bryson is different to any other kid who I help, going from making that jump from, say, high school to college and then college to pro. And it's different because of where their strengths are. What's their strengths? What's the weakness in their game? And it may be so for some kids, it's like, how do we get more speed? So you're able to like fly the ball far enough to play at the college game or to play at the pro game. And then from somebody else, it may be, how do you dial in your wedges? So everybody's a little different. But we definitely have those conversations. And I with each kid, though, one thing I do the same for everybody. When a kid first goes from junior golf to college golf, I purposely like try not to contact them for about a month. I'll reach out and I'll go, and these guys, I probably did it with these guys. I said, hey, if you need anything, let me know. Anything from golf or un-golf related, like reach out, I'm here. But then I try to back off a little bit so they can find their own way. Whether that's a good own way or a bad own way, it is different for every kid. Yeah. But there becomes that level of ownership that I want them to have at that level, and it's the same with the pro game. Like, I don't want to be. I'm here to help, and I want to be part of the journey and to help them reach their goals. But at the same time, I don't want to be a complete crutch that they can't do it without me, because they're the one hitting the shot, not me.
Do you guys find that trying to be too perfect becomes a problem that you think? And I think if you ask any golfer, regardless of what skill, that you always see the guys or the girls on TV, and they're always playing what seems like the perfect round. As you progress, you both progress, do you see yourself trying to do that or catch yourself?
Yeah, I would say I definitely have found myself in that mindset a couple of times. It was interesting how Tim was saying he kind of lets his students go for a little bit when they go off to school and make that transition, whether it's good or bad. They kind of find their own way. I felt like I've kind of found myself my first year at school trying to be too perfect, and I kind of learned a lesson in a hard way, always trying to kind of tinker my own without asking Tim, or just kind of making a whole bunch of bad decisions, trying to be too perfect when golf's not a game of perfect. And I kind of learned it the hard way.
How about you, Bryson? Because you've gone from high-level juniors to Division I to now professional.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where golf's a game where it's just going to constantly change, and you can't be perfect because you're playing outside, and, weather changes, whatever change. And you just have to learn that you're going to have mistakes in a round of golf. It's just how you manage your mistakes. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot about just kind of staying focused. And when you do have a little hiccup in a round of golf, just saying, okay, I'm going to stick with my routine, go through the same thing I've been doing all day, and it'll work out at the end.
Tim, what are some of the things that you've helped them with, or other junior students you have, where they call you and they're just frustrated as can be? They're overwhelmed with whatever level they've gone to. It's completely new. How do you kind of talk them through that?
So somewhat to what Bryson just mentioned, like you've got to go back to what you do well and what is your process, and versus trying to reinvent the wheel completely, right? Sometimes you just have a bad day on the course. Like golf's really hard.
Right.
And how well, I think some of the beauty of golf and how well you play high level golf is how quickly you can adapt to changing conditions, changing body types. Like Bryson was giving Andrew a hard time about, like, he's changed, right? Like he's like hitting bombs now. Like Phil Mickelson would be proud. We were like joking about it outside right before we started this. And like, so body types change. And that's like something that I think I try and let especially going junior golf to college golf, it's like it's almost a secondary growth spurt. You may not be going up vertically, but like you're getting physically stronger. Your body is changing so much. So I think one thing I try to help students with is, as their body adapts, how can I adapt their swing and their knowledge of the swing to the new them? Because there's a big difference between the kids who's, say, 17 years old starting college, and then when he's 21, 22.
Yes,
that is just a different, physically
different. And mentally.
Yeah, and then you have the mental side of it too, right? The emotional part is like this massive growth occurring.
They're both shaking their heads like, yeah, they just went through it.
Right? So I think that is like, I view my job when a student's in college is to be that support, where as they change physically, emotionally, like both sides, how can we adapt their games to maximize what they do?
Yeah, because you can look at guys that play, like when I was playing, Boo Weekly was playing, and he played the mini tours the year I did, and then he got his tour card, and then he really struggled his first year on tour. I think he was just overwhelmed. Then he spent 3 years on then the Nationwide, now the Corn Ferry, and he got comfortable being around cameras and crowds, and then he gets his card the next year, and then of course the rest is history. Especially we know him, winning the Heritage. Do you guys find yourself, as you get more comfortable in your environment, that you start to play better?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, Andrew's probably felt it the same with college. Yeah. It's just like you kind of need that like lap around your freshman year just to be like, okay, like I can do this. And then kind of as you go, you gain confidence. I think at every level it's like that. Junior golf, then college, then pro. You just kind of have to be like, all right, like I can do this.
Yeah, 'cause it's not really the golf that's the problem. It's the environment that you're not comfortable in, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think some of it's the golf too, but there's a lot that goes into it. Yeah, the environment and schoolwork, living on your own for the first time. But yeah, I would say me too. It really took me almost even to my third year to truly get comfortable, and each year it's just grown more comfortable.
Are you looking forward to turning pro? Or are you gonna? Are you? Well, maybe
No.
we'll leave that for the press release. We'll just assume that you're gonna. But is that something you might be looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds kind of cliche, but I'm just looking forward to, what we got in the near future here with the.
Don't want to get too far ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far ahead. I got the spring semester, and if I were to go pro, that would be, if I have a good spring semester, that would help me a lot. So.
Is there anything that he's hinted to you that Bryson did when he was still in school that says, "Hey Tim, I'm thinking of going pro. Is there anything we should start on now, or was it focusing on just let's focus on what's in front of us and we get better at this, and then we can."
It's definitely that. Like, these guys probably get sick of me asking these questions. I always ask, like, so what are you doing well, and where can we get better? And so you try and keep growing the strength, no matter what the level of, no matter where they are, right? You're trying to make the strength better and like keep the strength, and like whatever the weakness is improve it. And I truly view college golf for the guys of this level as like have them play as well as possible, but you're trying to play the long game. So when they have the opportunity to turn professional, they have a more complete game, and they continue to improve it as they turn pro. Like Bryson just turned pro, so as he's continued to develop and improve, but you're trying to play a continual long-term development game, not just, okay, how can you play better? You want to play better tomorrow, but like it's not just for that. It's and there are opportunities. Like Andrew's in his off season, so we're like this morning we're starting his like winter off season improvement plan, and we talked about where he needs to improve, what he did well, how we're going to keep on improving certain areas of his game, so he's like even better in the spring, and then you can keep going with it. So that's really how we look at it.
So with you guys both being from Hilton Head, do you help each other out? Now that you're in the pro rank, you're a couple years ahead. Do you help him out, and or do you call him on occasion or message him?
I mean, on occasion.
Use him as a resource.
Give
him a hard time.
We do that.
How'd you make
maybe more of that?
You got to do that.
How'd you make double and miss the cut?
I think we've helped each other just because we played a lot growing up together. I mean, we've competed since we were like, I don't know, 10 years old maybe, in the Larry Kellogg's and stuff.
For sure. I think it was nice growing up. We had a lot of good players around that we kind of were able to push each other, which that's really important with golf, especially just having people to compete against.
Do a lot of the local guys growing up, like the local pros, whenever they go to a tournament, they always get together and go to dinner, they play practice rounds. Did you guys do the same in your events?
A little bit, yeah. We would hang out and stuff a little bit, yeah.
So, definitely.
Tim, it not where they are now, but if a younger kid comes to you and says, here's my dream, I want to play Division I, or I want to play pro golf eventually. How do you manage expectations between? There's a fine line between dashing somebody's dreams and working with them to say, okay, I'm good, but I don't know what this kid can do. How do you go about that?
So there's definitely an assessment process. So just with my schedule now, I don't take on too many new students, and especially who are younger. I teach a high number of, like, say, high school kids, but very few below that age. So if they're coming to me and they're already in high school, they're already pretty good. And so I'm trying at that point, like, direct them so they can make that jump to college golf. So there's already, I'm fortunate, there's already a base talent level that's there.
Right.
They can hit it okay, or they can chip it okay. And then, but it really is, like the same question I ask them all the time is like, what did you do well and where can we improve? And like, but I look at that. If it's a new young student, I look at it, I'm kind of judging that too, right? I'm like super involved in terms of what scores have they recently shot? How do they manage their game? Is their short game strong, or is it weak? And is there an area of the game they just don't have a shot? There's so much to the game of golf, from full swing, chipping, bunkers, putting. emotional course management, right? There's so many elements where you can really help someone make and achieve those goals of college golf. But I would also say you have to match the type of school they want to go to. I've had numerous kids who can play college golf somewhere at a good Division I school, great D2, D3, but they want, like, say, the big college experience where it's like a Clemson or Virginia, where there's like the basketball, the football, like they want that package too, and maybe they don't quite fit, their golf game doesn't quite fit that yet.
Right.
But they've still developed a skill they can use their whole life. They can play golf at a very high level, and that's great, and they enjoy the game for like, and it's kind of, sometimes I have kids who change their passion, right? It's like just to something else, and that'll occur. But for the kid who really is passionate about it, and that's like the number one key, and I can tell that really quickly when I first meet someone. Like, these guys both have like high passion for the game. Like, you almost got to be like slightly obsessive in a good way. It's like Bryson, like when he got to, he's like taking we was talking about, I'm going to take 2 or 3 days, 2 or 3 weeks off. And outside he said, like, after 5 days he was itching to go play again, right? Like, you can't put it down, and you need breaks are good, healthy breaks. You got to rest the body, rest the mind. But you need that type of passion. If you want to play like high level D1 golf and then move on to the pro, you want that. After like a few days off, you just got to go play golf. You can't get completely away from it.
You got to get your fix. It's in your blood.
And when I see a junior player who has that, then I know they're going to put in the work.
For you guys at such a high level now that you're both playing at, does it come that it's a passion that you just want to get out and play, or is it a fear that, well, if I'm not practicing, somebody else is?
That's a good question.
It's kind of both.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a fear for me, because I've seen guys like, and it's fun. You see guys who, like, there are some guys who don't really practice and play a whole lot, who are really good performers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's some guys who, like, so it's just about what works for you. Mm-hmm. But it's more, there is a little bit of that. Like, I feel like I need to be out there, but mostly it's just passion, I think.
Yeah. I would say the same thing. I would just say, it's also like how you practice and how efficient you are. Mm-hmm. And like, I've seen plenty of guys who can hit, 500 balls a day, and it might not do much for them. But if they're out there and they're putting in work, hitting that many balls, then it's really making a difference. So that's kind of where you want to be, is you're like, all right, I want to manage that and be doing the right things in the right amount of time.
Yeah, because like when we were coming up, it was like, well, you got to hit 500 to 1,000 a day. And now in the coaching industry, it's come a lot like, okay, you need to take time off if you're going to play this game. You don't want to have surgery or back issues or Tiger's been an illustration of that. And, he takes more time off and he still wins. So it's, especially you guys haven't had any injuries yet, I would hope.
No,
okay, good.
Knock on
We
wood.
don't want you to either.
So far, so healthy.
Yeah.
Does your TPI certification help them with that? Where you can look for things that maybe their swing's not quite working, you can give them
so I think it's important, like, that, like, I continue to educate myself on, like, and so how the body works, whether it's the kinetics, the kinematics of, like, the swing and the body, and just the basic sports science world, I think is advanced tremendously. Mm-hmm. And some of the research has been out there for a long time, but it's become more in vogue, thankfully, that it's more, you can go to an educational conference and you probably hear something about it. Right. Whereas 20 years ago, you would have to go actually do the research yourself. Like, you'd have to, like, go almost dig it out. So I've always been really, really interested in that side of the development, how the body works, how to best maximize practice and best maximize use of time, as Bryson just said. But also, like, the physical side of it, like the biomechanics of the swing and how somebody moves. I think that it makes a huge difference. So as a coach, I think it's important to know that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. You guys feel the effects, I would assume, being with him as long as you have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You avoided injuries, and because he's very good at what he does, and you're swinging well. And Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Tim does a really good job of, like, he knows that so well, and I think that helps him with, like, coaching us with our swings, is like, if he sees that something's not right with your body and that's what's causing it, he works really well around that, which helps.
I think that's one thing I've noticed as we've like developed over the years. Like maybe I used to hit, if I hit 200 balls or 100 balls, I would kind of feel it in certain spots. And I think over the years, just as we've worked on things, it's gotten a little easier on the body. So
has your relationship with them changed much in that when they're junior golfers, you're kind of pushing them past their comfort level, and then when they get into pros where it gets in high-end golf, it gets obviously more challenging and it becomes more of a supportive role? Or
yeah, I would say for sure, like it becomes more supportive.
Because they're already beating themselves up. You're trying to. Well, you're not doing. You got to hit another 100 balls.
Exactly, but because without question, for all levels, but the further you go in the game, I think the more the mindset matters, and the better your mindset and how you can adapt to situations. We use adapting earlier, but how you can adapt to situations, challenges of traveling by yourself. Like Bryson talked about how. Well, you got 3 days before a tournament and you don't have a coach telling you what to do, how you do it, right? So for my role becomes more supportive, but also not only like how to practice in those situations, but it definitely becomes more of a emotional coach, should we say, right? But like talk them off the ledge.
Yeah, it's like they're running almost to the red already, especially as passionate as you two guys are. You're pushing yourselves as hard as you can. You don't need that extra push blows you in the red. Next thing you know, you blow an engine.
Correct, because to achieve like the level of golf that anybody playing big time Division I golf, even though as Andrew said, there's some guys who you see don't practice maybe as much. At some point, they've done the hard work, right? They really have, and so hard work is this. To be great, hard work is like kind of a prerequisite. You have to do it at some point, like you're digging in. So then it does. That's why my role becomes like, how do I support? From like practice plans, swing game plans, emotionals, whatever it may be, like it becomes more of that role for sure. Whereas a junior golfer, it is going to be a little more X's and O's in terms of what their swing is doing.
Yeah, and you almost have to push them a little more, especially these two guys when they're accomplished. It's like, okay, you're going to get comfortable. You're going to push yourself a little harder.
Yeah,
for sure.
How does apparel work for you guys? I know Andrew, you're kind of under NCAA regulations on what you can get, and now Bryson, you're in a whole new category where you're not getting everything just handed to you as much. Or go ahead and
with apparel,
equipment in particular. It's like now that you're a pro, you got to get everything.
Yeah,
right?
so
and you're playing every week, almost every week.
Yeah, for sure. So I actually with Titleist and FootJoy, so they do a really good job giving me stuff and all that. So I'm lucky with that. But I mean, I know traveling and stuff, a lot of the guys don't have deals and contracts and stuff. And it's really hard because, I mean, they don't have like the luxury of just calling and ordering something when they need it or having balls there and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it is really tough. And we're spoiled in college because, I mean, we show up to a tournament and they hand us 24 golf balls, 2 gloves, and 5 shirts and 5 pairs of pants. And they're like, go have fun.
Right. So
it's definitely a big difference.
You see a lot of guys on the developmental tours with gloves that are taped and they got holes all over them. And they're playing. Well, this ball is less of a skid mark than this ball does. Okay, I'll use this one. How about in the college? Has it changed much from in the last couple of years since Bryson's out there?
We're definitely spoiled. I mean, we just had, and even for our clubs, we had the Titleist rep come to Charlottesville a couple weeks ago and fit all of us with clubs, and I just got some new clubs in, which was really nice. And I mean, we got, whenever the van leaves, there's always 24 golf balls, 3 gloves, whatever you need on your seat, and it's kind of taken care for you. So we're spoiled.
Has it been a little bit of an awakening for you going to the pro circuit and seeing the?
A little bit. I think you have to do a little bit more of the work that your coaches were doing, where they were ordering everything and they were picking it up and then they just set it out for you, whereas now you kind of have to be the one that like orders everything, gets everything planning, but still pretty lucky just to be able to have it show up and not have to pay for it, which is nice.
Do you guys think that's part of the hard part, that it's not only are you expected to play at a higher level, but now you have more responsibility?
I'm sure there's some of that. Yeah
There's a little bit more of that.
You've seen them since they were young. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think it is. No question. It's especially for Bryson because just turning pro. That's one of the big things coming from a school like Clemson where facilities are great, and Virginia's the same way. The facilities are phenomenal. Like there's basketball, football, funnel down money, right? That helps fund the other sports, the Olympic sports, right? And that's how it works, right? And so then you turn pro, and obviously Bryson had a phenomenal college career, hence why like Times for Joya helping him out, right?
Up there,
right? So that's but that's not the common term pro, like, and Bryson realizes that, like, it's not but he deserved it. It was
it was earned.
It's earned.
That's the thing about golf, you got to earn it,
right? It's completely earned, and so, but there's a lot of guys when they turn pro, it's all of a sudden they have to find those clubs and like all of a sudden figure out how to get golf balls and like where to play and like how to practice and time management. It's different.
I remember when I was playing in minis and then Vokey came out and said, "Yeah, you should change your wedges every 3 months." Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Can't do that.
That's not coming out of the budget.
That tee can get the groove. The tee. It's okay, right?
I was looking for a new file at Home Depot about every couple of months, trying to grind those things down a little bit more. Let's get into some practice and preparation and stuff. And Tim, so a lot of people, if they read up on you or if they've heard of you or what have you, your degree, you have a master's degree in pedagogy, but it's not like it's a household term. Can you?
So no,
I know it's a multi-year program, but can you kind of condense it in a couple minutes?
Sure, I'll give you the 30-second version. Essentially, it's a combination of sports psychology, motor learning, exercise physiology, kinesiology. And so it's how to teach sport is a nice way. And so it's really not just what to teach, but it's the delivery methods, how best to communicate, how to give feedback, how to structure practices. So I was really fortunate that I fell into that degree. I started it because I was at Virginia and I had an extra year of eligibility, and I knew I wanted to do something with that extra time. And so I went to the education school and told them I wanted to get into golf coaching, and they said, "Oh, we've got a degree for you. This could be really good." So they just tailored this master's program for
you. You're the only one in class.
Yeah, like pretty much. but it was phenomenal, and honestly, I still use what I learned then. It was so influential. In terms of like when to give feedback, how to do it, how to communicate, but then also how the body works, like we chatted on earlier. Right. So it started me on that pathway 20 years ago now, and it's helped tremendously.
How do you use that you've got two very talented guys right here. How do you teach them differently from a kid who's not as talented but has a tremendous amount of will?
So if someone's like these guys, I know what their game plan should be, right, and they hopefully do too. And the plan can change slightly, right? You have to adapt the plan at times. But you have a general concept of what the swing needs to be, where the short game needs to go, and etc. With the newer student who's got some talent, a ton of passion, that person, I'm much more directive in how I deliver. I'm asking them questions, trying to figure out what they want to do, and where they are, and what they feel in the swing, should I say, and then I'm a little more, this is what's happening. Go down this pathway. And yet I'll change after a couple swings. If I'm giving a kid a game plan, after like 3 or 4 swings, if I know I'm not like connecting with him, like he's not understanding, I'm changing how I deliver the message and to get the result I want. Like it's all about how can you get for a full swing, how can I get the sweet spot of the club moving into the golf ball as consistently as humanly possible for that student. And so they have a predictable ball flight. That's what I'm going for. So whether you're a 15-year-old kid who's got incredible passion and decent talent, and I'm trying to take that decent talent and make them as good as they possibly can be, or say these guys who are already really good and trying to just make them another half shot better, right? It's so it is like for the kid some kids who are 15 with good passion, I'm trying to make them like 6-7 shots better at times. These guys, it's like half a shot.
Yeah, half a shot.
That's a difference, right? That's
hairs for sure.
So,
how do you? Their personalities are different. They're different people. How do you coach them differently?
Well,
we can get into the depths of your brain a little bit. Here you have two highly accomplished golfers. Very, very good.
So, so we'll go with Andrew because I just worked with him, so it's fresh in my mind. Okay, right? So Andrew is going to be, I'm going to give him like what we need to do, concept. Then we play around with feels. We do drills, a lot of like exercise drills, movement-based drills. And then once he gives me like incredible amount of feedback as to like what feels good, what feels bad. Mm-hmm. And then we like kind of like quickly, because I started working with Andrew when he was 12, right? Like, so because of that depth of relationship, like I can say, he can say a word, right? And quickly I can play off it and, that's what he's feeling. Okay. And I can, but it's more, so if Andrew is going to be, I'm going to tell him what we need to do. You could argue it's technical. Like if someone listening in, honestly, somebody listening into the lesson, the session we just had would go, oh, that's really technical. But he can take a technical word and make it a feel, right? And it becomes like very feel based.
Would you say you're more of a creative type? Feel, pictures?
I think I'm a little bit
artistic.
I hate to say, I think I'm a little bit of both, though. I don't know. I want to understand what's going on. Right. I always want to know what's going on. I don't want to just like feel like I am not in control in that aspect. But I don't think I think I've gotten better at turning that into feel, and then
correct,
in a way, just kind of like
balancing both.
Balancing, yeah. I want to know what's going on, but I certainly don't think too technically when I'm playing golf. You know, I play with feel. I would say.
So our sessions like start out really technical. If someone was just like listening in, they'll go, "What the heck is he telling him?" like with terms and movement stuff. And then, but by the end of it, like we take the session we just had, it's like, yeah, just make that rehearsal. So a little flowy rehearsal. You got it. And like works, right? Mm-hmm. So it's, and then so our sessions are going to be still similar, right? Actually, like he wants to know why. Definitely want to know why, but I may not go like as much like deep technical with Bryson in terms of like biomechanical verbiage at first. Yeah. Right? Just who knows why? That's just the way we talk. It's like our language of communication, right? Like it's like our code is like maybe not right.
Speaking Cookeism.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's going to be a little different. And so with and so then Bryson's stuff is going to be like, okay, like tweak your setup, right? Mm-hmm. How's that feel, right? And then there's a lot of like shot shape stuff. And almost playing back to like, I know when I started helping Bryson, like his dad told me how he taught him growing up, and there was some brilliance in it. It was, if Bryson was like hitting a slice, he's like, okay, put a pool noodle in front of me, and he told him, okay, hit a hook. Don't leave until you can't hit it the other way around the tree.
You're not getting dinner.
Move it around. And so I knew just because of that conversation with his dad that so Bryson's going to like play off ball flight really quickly. So, so if I give him a shot shape image and I tell him how I want his body or club to move based on that shot shape, then he'll play off that really quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he did such a great job ever since I was little. I think I grew up, my dad never got technical about anything. It was always just make the ball do this, make the ball do that, and kind of explained how spin worked and everything at a young age. And so, you know, he'd put a pool noodle out there in front of me and he'd say, I want it to start left of this and finish right of this, or I want it to start right, finish left. And I just learned how to do it, and it was completely feel. And so I think Tim's helped me a ton with actually implementing a little bit of technical into it, which is something I really needed.
Building some structure to
so like a general structure. Actually, I haven't even shown this. I was doing a speech like somewhere else recently, a few weeks ago, and I was trying to pull up some like old videos of like students, and it just randomly pulled up like the first one of. I actually didn't use you in the talk. I didn't use you. But I'll show you later. I'll show it to you later.
He's a pro now. You might run into copyright issues.
Right? Yeah, that's true point. Right. And so I have to pay you for the use of the video. But the before and it was like I'll have to show it to you later. Like I just thought of it with this conversation, but. Like from the first swing I ever took of you to like one of your most recents, it's like amazing over that 5-ish plus year period how different technically is, but it's still you.
Yeah.
Right? It's still Bryson.
Yeah,
Still,
him inside, you might not feel any different.
Yeah, like
you look at
I
the
was
video,
actually like, it's kind of like your kids growing up, right? Like if you're with them all the time, you don't notice that they've grown like 3 inches.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that really is that. Look at that.
It's changed a lot.
But to his credit, that's the hard work he's put in, right? Like,
Right.
and, like,
A lot of balls, yeah.
right? And I figured out how to like gently, gradually over the course of 5+ years, like make those adjustments to where like I can't remember what your stats were from your senior year in college, but that was a lot of fairways hit, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of greens hit, and a whole lot of top tens and a bunch of wins,
a lot of them,
right? But it's because of like the gradual journey, right? And then I can look at like Andrew's swing, like from his like, we'll even say 2 months into your first year at Virginia, like right, like to where it is now, like 3.5 years later. It's like unbelievably different. Like again, like so his credit, like he's put in the hard work and like just like gone after it and not accepted like poor performances and just like, okay, how do I get better now? That's where I am. I'm going to improve. So his swing, it's like dramatically different. So, but it's been gradual at the same time, right? From during that period.
So when it goes to practice versus play, even playing practice, how do you guys determine which one to focus on? Especially in today's tech world, right? Mm-hmm. But tech obviously is a very, very important part.
Yeah.
But to keep them not as creative as they are, to keep them not numbers oriented, but you got to work on something, but they still have to implement it on the course. So how do you kind of, especially with their busy schedules, right? They're both, you got a full class load, you got training, you got tournaments, and you're playing, traveling, and so on. How do you kind of figure out when is it time to play and when's it time to practice? Because guys like this can flip it like a light switch. So they'll be playing bad, and all of a sudden they hit one shot, and then guys just start playing really good. Yeah. So how's that?
So I ask a lot. They're probably sick of me asking this question too. And during a session, it's like, so what's the play thought going to be? So towards the end of a technical session, like whatever we're trying to improve from a technical standpoint, like we at least got to begin the journey of like, what's the play thought? Because just the word, it's not a swing thought, it's a play thought. Because that's why you always use that word, because you're trying to get them into the performance mindset versus like technical. And play thoughts change, and I often tell them, like, your job is to figure out the play thought, right? Because you're hitting the shot, you're playing, you're performing. So as long as in a session, like, we begin to get to that answer, then it's easy to separate.
That sums it up for you guys.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I think just, it's getting like so much work in on the range where you feel comfortable with where the swing's at, and then you take it to the course, and like Tim was saying, you find that play thought, and then you just go with that from there. And every shot you hit, you've got that thought in your head, and that's all you really need.
Yeah. I think for me, something that's helped me bring my changes to the course over the years that I've worked on with Tim is just like how I structure my practice, really. Like, I used to kind of maybe get off on some rants in practice, just ball after ball after ball.
You would never do that.
No, that was my friend. But just like, being a little more structured, whatever that may mean to you or your certain plan, but maybe placing a little bit more of an importance on each shot or whatever you're trying to do. Maybe mix up if you're working on 2 different things at once. Hit 10 balls doing that thing, 10 balls doing the next thing, and 10 balls not thinking about a thing.
That's kind of like the big thing in coaching now, right? Should you hit, how many balls should you hit? Should it be repetitive practice? Should it be implemented practice? It's a big argument in golf.
It is, but I think it's, I just have too much success, honestly. That sounds so egotistical, sorry. But like if somebody can hit 5 to 10 or 3, it could be 3, whatever your number is, like somewhere in that 3 to 10 range, of like really you're focused on like that 1 or 2 things with a target in mind, and then take a break. Like versus hitting 100 straight, like let's just say 5, right? So say you take 5 balls out of the pile. They've heard me say this about it. Take 5, just hit 5, right? And then make a plan for those 5, and whatever you're working on, like just only that for those 5 shots, and then go check your phone.
Yeah, and so many people out there listening are 15, 20 handicaps are out there rapid fire, machine gunning it, right? So they should take heed to what you guys are doing. Obviously, having success. Yeah, I mean,
to me, if you're going rapid fire, like
then you're wasting your time.
Yeah, you're getting a suntan maybe, and that's about it. You're not doing much more than that. Light exercise, maybe we'll call it.
How would you guys differentiate between practice and tournament prep?
I would say with just everyday practice, a lot of times it's trying to drill in some of the stuff that we work on with Tim. It's like more technical.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're getting ready for a tournament, I'd say on the range, you're more thinking about like, how am I going to play this hole? What kind of shot am I going to hit? Do I have to shape it a certain way? How far does this, what club do I need to be hitting a lot? That kind of stuff. So you're tailoring it a lot towards like maybe the golf course you're going to play or the types of shots you have to hit, as opposed to just kind of hitting the same club over and over, just trying to feel something.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think Bryson hit it right on there pretty much. Practice, I guess I'm more in like the developmental mindset, like trying to work on something that Tim has given me, or trying to get a little better. And then when I'm preparing for a tournament, you kind of just got what you got at that point, and you're just going to try and tailor your game to the golf course. It's you're going to be facing there.
Then that goes back to accepting what you have. Okay, I worked on it. This was our plan. I worked on it, and here's what I got. Mm-hmm. If it's where I want it, great. If it's not where I want it, okay, I'm still going to go play. Yeah. Do you guys find that you play some better rounds when you don't have it because you're other parts of your game or your mental pickup?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of probably some of my best weeks tournament wise where I probably felt like I had like a low B game to like maybe high B game somewhere in there. And it definitely wasn't my best stuff, but I just like managed it really well. And I knew what I was working with, and I didn't try to do anything that I knew I couldn't do at that time.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned from junior to college, and I'm sure from college to pro golf, it's an even bigger deal. Because you really find, what I've noticed is all the great players, they're the best. What kind of separates them at a high level is like how they can play well when they're not playing well. Because especially in pro golf, you could be out on the road for like 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row. Yeah. And maybe you don't have it for any of those weeks, and you got to figure out kind of a way to get it done. Yeah. That's maybe when being confident in every area of your game and trying to develop all areas of your game. So if one or two parts is off, you could kind of lean on those if you need to.
You learn how to manage yourself a lot better.
Yeah, right? For sure.
And you're not cutting corners. You're not firing at a pin because you're confident you're hitting it good.
Yeah, you're definitely just working with kind of what you got. You can't ever push it too far.
Does course management become much more vanilla?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like, say you're just hitting a little cut that week, and it's kind of hard to hit a draw, and there's a right pin. You go for it, and then if it's a left pin, you're like, all right, like we're just not going for this one. We're gonna hit this one to the middle of the green, and we'll wait until later in the round. So,
for me, I feel like sometimes it's just my course management gets like less pretty or less perfect in a way. That's what I feel like I've kind of figured it out. I'm getting a little bit better at playing well when I don't have it, but on those days I'm just kind of like, it's gonna be ugly, but I'm gonna find a way. Whether that's just hitting like, honestly, like some days if I don't have it off the tee, I'll just play my like driving iron off my back foot, and I know I can get that thing out there, and like some days it's really bad, some days it's like a little like squirmy cut out there, but it gets out there in the fairway. I know I could keep my irons on line, trap them on line or something like that.
Get through the round.
Yeah.
Keep it around par if you can, and then
accepting that it's not going to be pretty for me like on those days. I mean, that's what's helped me the most.
Yeah, it took me a long time to learn that. I was just too stubborn. No, I'm going to hit this shot. I don't care. When it comes to making changes in whatever stroke you have, your driver, your putter, there's 3 parts to it, right? There's the change, you realize it, then there's the changing part, and then there's finally changed when you get there. And that can be a very daunting process. The first part's kind of easy, right? You call up Tim and, hey, I'm not hitting it. I can't hit the draw, like you mentioned, Bryson. That's somewhat of an easy part. The hard part is you get into that changing, where it can get very gloomy, right? Especially you get to a certain place, you look back and you don't know how you got there, and then you can't see the light yet. So, Tim, from the teaching perspective, how do you kind of walk them through that process?
So I think it's that's where like knowing the why of what you're trying to accomplish is critical. So it's not,
you keep that beacon.
It's got to be there. Like you're hitting the cut because of whatever the reason may be, right? Like you're on your toes too much, your face is open, whatever the part's going there, right? It's like, and then you're not deep enough at the top, whatever the technical thing is, right? I'm giving Bryson things. So, like, so
he hit about 3 of them right there.
There we go. So it's, but if you know the why, then actually there is no dark period. Like I don't think there is any, because I know what I'm doing, and it's very clear, and I know what I need to do to fix that. So, and you just like you believe in what you need to accomplish, and then you're off and running. Like, and so then there isn't that. I find that I'm trying to avoid that period for every player. Right. So that's why I think it's really important that every single one of my players knows why they're doing what they're doing, because when they're playing well, they want to know why they're doing what they're doing too.
Right.
Because at some point you're not going to play as well. So then you got to know what you did at that great moment. And so then it's easy to like get it back, or easier to get it back.
Now these guys have been through it, and they've modified their swings, and they've grown, and they trust you 100%. And they're super passionate. You guys are going to go work on it. Not to get too far off topic, but if it's Joe Schmo and he's coming in, he's a 20 handicap or 15, and he says, "Tim, I'm hitting it. I can't hit a draw," and he's only going to work on it once a week, maybe. How do you work with someone like that? Because that's a total different animal. I don't want to get too far.
It is a different animal. So how much someone's going to play in practice will change my verbiage in a lesson, right? And my delivery of what I give that person. But even there, I still want the person to know what the heck they're doing. Like, and so 20 handicap Joe Smith, right, who is hitting a big slice, he's got to know that his club faces say is wide open at the top, right? And if I can, so that's because it's like wide open, it's causing him to come. He's reacting to that club, and so now the mass of the club goes out, and he cuts across the ball at the bottom. And I want him to know that, but just that, like it's open. And after that, like I'm going to give him like a feel, or whatever that gentleman's feel is, to like get the face in the position, get a sense of what impact should be, and run with it, right? It's
develop it. Let
develop it, like but I'll tell them, I'll give them a practice plan. I say you're going to practice once a week, great. So once I say he's got a setup issue. I'll say every time you walk past a mirror, check your setup. Do that for the week. In addition to the one time you go play golf and like you hit some balls beforehand, or I may tell him how to warm up before his round, so he can like get a sense of what he's supposed to do, see some different ball flight. So you tailor it to that individual,
so they don't get off in those weeds.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have to educate that said 15, 20, whatever handicapper, if the ball's like, if they're right-handed and that ball's curving way right in the air, you want them to know why. So they don't like flip open a Rolodex and like just start looking for random swing thoughts that probably won't work.
Yeah, I usually tell people, I said, there's many padded rooms with people who went on the internet to try to fix their golf swing. Right? Because the tangents are just endless.
Yeah, it can get dangerous.
It's like when you get something on your hand and you start looking at the internet, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die next week.
Yeah.
The internet can be a dangerous place. Let me ask you this question, because I'll ask it and I'll kind of give you the background of it. Do you think how you become successful is important? And where that come from is I had a guy on, Brandy Soma. He was a Fortune 50 CEO, and he works with guys like your guys' age as you get out of school. And one kid, he asked him, "What do you want to be?" And his kid says, "Okay, my 10-year goal is to be a CFO of a corporation." He says, "Okay, what do you see you in 10 years?" Meaning, has he forsaken his friends and his family? Has he become a raging asshole? Just to achieve, right? So that's kind of where this question is coming from. So it's asking you guys, have you given any thought of how you become successful? Is that important?
Yeah, I think it's super important. I mean, I think you got to become successful, but without giving up the things that you also hold important, because it's not all about golf,
right,
obviously. So it's just kind of finding that balance, and you definitely have to make some sacrifices, but it has to be in the right way, I think. You just have to go about it right and kind of hold what means a lot to you close still.
Have you had to make any of the sacrifice like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially in college, like you don't have a lot of time. I think Andrew's kind of seen that too, and maybe you got to cut out some of the social stuff. And I think that's one of the biggest things in college that differentiates players is some guys just don't want to cut that out. They want to go out every night or do that kind of stuff. And it's in college, you're still there, you're still trying to have that experience and have a good time, but you have to like figure out what you really want at the end of the day. And after those 4 years, where you want to be. And it's kind of just figuring like, okay, like I can go out a little bit, but like I gotta focus when I need to focus.
Set some parameters.
Exactly.
Keep that little bit of structure like we were talking about. How about you, Andrew?
I think for me, it's always just important to kind of keep perspective is like my thing. Just always kind of take a step back whenever I'm feeling like with golf. If maybe I get a little overwhelmed and I see it's like dominating my life a little too much, like it's okay to have those like big goals and aspirations. Like I want to have those, and I think it's important to have, but all along the way, I just always try and keep a good perspective, and that kind of keeps my head level, I think, and the people around me and everything that I hold dearly a little bit more close to me. So
is this something, Tim, that with the years you've been with both of them, you can, if you see some of the signs coming up that they're getting that they're too driven or they're looking at being successful too much, where you can say, hey, maybe a couple of days off, go to the movie, go hang out with the guys a little bit.
Yeah, every now and again I'll tell someone, I definitely have, and I'm sure I have for these two guys, is like, say it's okay to take a couple of days off. Like Bryson took like 4, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of time.
It's but no, it is like, especially as when someone is like highly driven and achieving, the whole like rest recovery concept is massively important. So you can keep driving hard. Right.
A hard lesson for guys like this to learn. Yeah. It might not be hard, but it's hard to incorporate because you are so driven.
Right. Yeah. Right? And even like from a true performance standpoint, like getting enough sleep is like critical. Like I think it was like a couple years ago, like we had the sleep discussion. Right? I had the sleep discussion with Andrew. Right.
Typical teenager. I can stay up till 3 in the morning.
I mean, in college, I think that becomes massively important because you just have so much. You have like a lot of different things tugging at you. You got schoolwork, which is like a lot if you're, focused on what you should be focused on that. So you got your schoolwork, and then you have like workouts. Our team wakes up 3-4 days a week in the morning really early. So those days you're not going to have much sleep. And
what's really early for college now?
I mean, our workouts are at 6:30, so
that's really early.
6:30 is really early.
Yeah.
That's early.
That's still early.
That's early.
Kind of early.
I was wondering if college, early was like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Getting up early.
I mean, and then you have other things like maybe you'll hang out with your friends one weekend night, and like that's not like that much sleep. So it's like you have to be careful. It adds up over time, and like could really affect pretty much all areas of your life.
I give you a hint. It doesn't get any easier as you get older.
Yeah. So I guess I've learned the importance of that.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
So Andrew, I won't tell you the exact timing, but like I remember you told me a story of you came back and you played well in like one of the qualifying. So I think for Hawaii a couple years ago that they traveled to, and you said, it's like, I'm pretty sure the reason you qualified was that you said because you got a really good night's sleep the night before. Like, right?
I was like I wasn't playing well early in the qualifier. It was like a really long.
It's like probably 10
7
rounds.
or 8, 10 rounds
like,
maybe.
geez.
Yeah. And I was like not playing very well in the beginning, a couple rounds, and I think it was like my first or second year. And I played a good last round. I think it was because I got a good night's sleep.
Amazing with launch monitors and K vests and force plates and everything else. You need some more sleep.
Yeah, right. Take home message: sleep more.
Bryson, do you find that an issue on playing professionally, or is it? Yeah. Well, it's like there's not a lot to do aside from play golf and then go to the hotel.
For sure. I mean, you definitely have a lot more free time. There's no doubt about that. But I would say the big thing is like, I mean, I don't know all the statistics on it and everything, but we had our trainers in college and stuff would show us all the stats. And like, if you had one night that you didn't get enough sleep, it affects you for like 3 more nights or 3 more days. And so it's just, maybe you have one day on a Monday where you travel to the next event and you stay up till like 1 or 2 in the morning trying to get to your hotel, and you lose that amount of sleep, and it's going to affect you the rest of that week.
Right.
So, I mean, it's tough to manage that, but you have to find a way to get the right amount of sleep.
How often do you guys check in with Tim? Now that you're both, you're not living here anymore. You're at school and you're on the road for the most part. How often do you check in? And
I mean, once every. I feel like it's maybe. I mean, he's always like good about answering our calls or texts whenever.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Always.
I feel like I could call him whenever, honestly, but I try and give him space, respect his space.
Little space.
But maybe, like, honestly, I mean, I'd have to see, but maybe once every 3-4 weeks, maybe somewhere in there.
I'd say about the same. Yeah.
do you check in with him on your swing? You send him video or in your stroke? Is that that's about the same once a month?
Yeah, it's probably fair.
More maintenance since you guys have been together so long.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any technology that you're using that helps with that? That you guys can have an app on your phone and you
we use Coach Now, the Coach Now app, and I use that with all of my students actually. It's a really nice way to do remote. They can upload swings. You can upload anything to it basically, and like TrackMan data, Sandpot, like whatever you want. Just a basic swing video. Do that and some couple comments about the ball flight, and then we're off and running.
It's pretty simple stuff.
Yeah. It's really good.
What are the most important stats you guys keep track of? Or do you keep track of your stats, and then what's the most important?
I think it kind of differs for every player, I would say. I mean, Tim probably would know more, being that he sees all of our games, but I think everybody has their couple of stats that they really need to focus on as far as weaknesses. And then, like Tim was saying before, you got to keep your strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everybody differs a little.
I mean, yeah. I don't know if y'all did this at school, but we do we have like a stats program that we do through our school golf, and so that kind of gives us everything we need. I don't know. I don't think there's any stats in particular that I look at instead of all of them. I know my weaknesses and strengths are from those stats, so I may pay a little more attention to my weaknesses. Just make sure I'm trying to improve upon those. So for me, that's like scrambling around the greens. I need to get better at that. So my scrambling percentages and strokes gained around the greens.
Do you, as their coach, you keep on them about that, or do you just kind of let them go and let them?
No, I think stats are valuable because sometimes a player will say, I am really just sucking it off with my wedges. And you look at the stats and like, they're pretty good. They're actually way better. Like, so they're not that bad. So perspective can be changed.
So where you're going to be efficient with your time.
Yeah, right. And that'll help dictate practice.
Tim, this one's kind of more directed at you. Is how do you manage young students' games that seem to be continually changing, their growth, their extracurricular activities, and everything else in between?
That's why, I honestly, I feel like the vast majority of my students I have kind of long-term relationships with, so I know their tendencies really well, and I can see like what that growth is, how they're changing, like physically, emotionally as they go through, especially through the like college years. I think the college years is like this crazy amount of growth and improvement. I think a lot of college coaches, I shouldn't say a lot. There's some college coaches who will tell you that like you're just playing in college, and you've got to come in with the game 100%, and that's what the game is for the 4 years. And I think that's not true. Like I think there's an incredible development can occur during that period. So as long as I keep on top of what their individual game plans are, like their swing game plans are very different. Yeah, we'll go out and play a few holes after this, right? And all we good. I can tell Andrew one thing and Bryson something else, and it won't get confusing. Different codes. But yeah, I think it is. I'm fortunate that I do have students who like work hard. They're good people, and with those two elements, I'm just like I can manage their games pretty easily.
Does that kind of go to the criteria that you use when you're going to select on who you're going to work with?
Yeah, like don't be an asshole. Honestly. Like it's like
that's high up on the list.
It's like it's definitely part of it. Because it's it's like way more fun if people are nice, right? And they're going to be more, and also they're going to be more open to learn. If someone's like really closed off after like a session or two, then I'm not the coach for them, and that's okay too. Like I think it's important that people can, from my perspective, if someone is not going to be like fit how I teach, and because they're like too closed as to like opportunities, then
Or mom and dad are there telling you that
whatever
with their
it may
Google
be.
degree.
And I actually don't mind. Yeah, I actually don't mind. Yeah, I actually kind of welcome when parents are involved, because they're seeing their kids a lot more than I ever will. So there's some valuable information there. I can have a parent stand right next to me on the tee the entire time, and I'm like, fine. Or they can never show up, and I'm absolutely fine. It's just whatever works the best in that relationship, right? That's critical. So yeah, I know some coaches don't like the parents to be on the tee, but if a parent wants to be on the tee with me, that's fine. But I'm going to direct them, right? And like, because they're going to be with that junior golfer way more than I ever will be. So the message needs to be the same. It's kind of like with college coaches. I want the college coach to have the same language code, right, as I do with each player, so then that player can keep developing. I think it's
Do you have you had challenges with college coaches maybe seeing something in their swing that they want them to do, either these two guys or somebody else,
I would
where
say,
it's kind
like,
of contradictory to what you wanted to do?
I mean, it's gonna because I'm like fortunate. I've had so many like good players. Like, there's going to be an occasion it's going to happen, right? It's just a numbers game. It's going to happen, right? But I would definitely say, the coaches who don't reach out to me, I don't have a relationship with, if I've reached out once or twice and I just don't get anything back, that's when it becomes a problem. Because then now all of a sudden you're not talking to the coach. If a coach is messaged me, texting me, or they're in the coach now space, then it's like rarely a problem. It's when for whatever reason, whether it's me or them, right? Mm-hmm. I'll take ownership in that. Sometimes I haven't like reached out to the coach enough, so they're not comfortable calling me, even though I want that, because I want the kid to play well. It's not about me or the coach. It's
right.
about,
As a good coach,
I want the player to like nail it from their perspective. That's why. It's not because it's not for my benefit or the coach's benefit. It's like the player's benefit.
How do you guys measure success? Is it better to measure it by if you've achieved your goal, or by how far you've progressed? I'll start with the guys, and we can get to the coach.
I think a little bit of both. For me, I mean, the part maybe the most enjoyment I get out of golf is like the improvement aspect. If I can see myself improve, and I just keep getting better at it, that's kind of what I enjoy the most about it. I mean, and then success, I mean, for me is more results, I guess I would say. Like, and I guess everyone would interpret the results a little bit differently, but for me, it's like, am I getting into contention in tournaments? Am I winning tournaments? That's what success looks like for me. And as long as I'm getting better and enjoying that, then that'll take care of itself, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think just being the sport that it is, and being a competitive sport, you obviously want to win, and you set your goals, and if you don't achieve those goals, it doesn't feel like you quite like achieved it. But at the same time, you also have to have like smaller like statistic goals and that kind of stuff, where it's like, all right, I wanted to improve in this area and I did that, so that was the achievement. And I think that's really important, to have those small attainable goals as well as those big goals, because that way you're not sitting there like, well, I didn't win, so just it was a wash. You're able to say, okay, well, I did do what I wanted to do as far as like putting or chipping or whatever, and it just so happened I didn't achieve that big goal. So it's nice to kind of separate it like that, I think.
With highly driven guys like this, do you find that you have to say, okay, I when they might be irritated they didn't win where they thought they should have, you have to back them down and say, okay, you didn't, but look at how much you improved over the last month, 6 months, 2 years. Look, here's your putting average, here's your greens in regulation. Do you have to?
You definitely have to. You can't. If you just take tiny snapshots, you'll really beat yourself up. But if you look at more of a longer term, okay, where have I grown? Like Andrew said, he's enjoying like the improvement long term, right? Like and that process of just getting better.
Right, like we were talking before we came on, it was almost a stroke and a half from your sophomore to junior year. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, and that's like one of those stats you can look at. So yeah, I am getting better, and then you can
6 shots at
right. You can even
tournament.
look at like a mini victory, like what we did with this pivot today. Right, that's a little win, right? And it resulted in a little better, cleaner TrackMan numbers, a little cleaner ball flight. So that's a little mini victory too. So you have to Bryson's point, you have to have big goals, but then like have little guys underneath. Like,
Have you guys realized that where it's a lot of little things add up to a big thing? Was that was there an epiphany, so to speak, maybe in junior golf or college that finally clicked? I mean, Tim's probably been trying to get it through and beating his head against the wall, and oh my God, it finally, okay, now I get what he's saying.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
You understood his Cookeism?
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just, you'll see it over time. Like if you kind of set your mind to like, all right, I want to improve these areas, and then you achieve that, it's kind of crazy how it ends up being that you just play better.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, wow, like that was what I needed to be doing, and that ended up working. And it almost ends up like that every time, where if you improve in the areas that you set out to improve, you achieve those big goals.
Yeah. I would say for me, I kind of noticed that, or learned that lesson kind of later in the ball game. Like went through like a slump, I guess, towards the end of my junior golf career. And like Tim was saying, like the beginning of my college career, my freshman year, my swing then to now, like would look a lot different. But it was at that time that I kind of like realized that, let's just start with some little things and get the little things, and they build upon each other. And then it's been, like the Coach Now app, it's been cool to see how like those little things add up a whole lot over time. And so it's kind of like, it's cool.
Have you guys ever doubled a penny a day for a month to see what it comes out to? There's an old question. Would you rather have $1 million now or a penny doubled a day for 30 days?
I'm guessing the second, based on the question.
Everybody's probably at their own calculator. Okay.
I was trying to think of no way.
Yeah. So it would be, okay, you get a penny day 1, you got 2 cents day 2, 4 cents day 3, 8. So check that out when you get home. You can use it when you get back to school.
Yeah.
You can use it when you're
Use
with the
it on
guys sitting
somebody.
there. This is a pretty big question I ask in almost every interview.
Mm-hmm.
Is failure a good thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Coach?
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you have a mindset that can view failure as a good thing, like if somebody quote unquote fails or whatever the goal is, and they take that as like this personal assault and beat themselves up on it, then how they're viewing it is the issue. So like if the failure or success was just words out there, but it's how you view them and your approach to those two words is what really matters. So if you take a failure, say you make a quad on a hole, right? So then why did I make that mistake? Was it a course management issue, or was it a swing issue, or was it both? If it's a quad, it was both. But sometimes you just make a bad swing, and with a bad decision, you make a huge number. But then if you can look at that quote unquote failure, and you figure out why you're not going to make that course management mistake again. So then failure becomes like a huge positive.
For you two guys, what were some of the bigger failures you might have that stick out in your brain that you can kind of rely on when you got in that position again?
I would say for me, it was in college. I had like a really tough time my first like 2 or 3 years figuring out how to win a golf tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I came really close a lot and kind of blew it a lot. And it was like, I just could never like do it and couldn't figure it out. I wanted to blame it on different stuff. And like, it was just kind of like one of those things where if I hadn't failed, I wouldn't have ended the way I did my senior year. So it was like I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I did because it made me keep working so hard.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's just one of those things where you have to take failure the right way. And you, like Tim said, like you have to say, okay, like if I hadn't failed, I wouldn't be where I'm at, and it wouldn't make me like think through like why did it happen that time? What do I need to get better at? And everything like that. So I think it definitely makes a difference.
Yeah. No, I think for me, in junior golf, my failures kind of looked like I wasn't quite closing off tournaments or winning tournaments that I got in contention. And then in college golf, a lot of my failures have been like not quite getting into contention, really. So I've gotten there now, and it's kind of, I guess, the form of my failures have kind of evolved and changed over certain times. But I think, like Tim and Bryson were saying, I mean, I kind of welcome it. Like failure seems to me like it's a great area or a great opportunity for growth. And like I was saying, that's where I find a lot of enjoyment in the game. So I don't want to make it sound like I like failing, but like
no,
I relish the opportunity to grow and learn
it
from my
sounds like
mistakes.
you accept it, you're going to make it, but you realize that it's also the ability to get better and grow.
You learn something about yourself, especially in golf. So which is always cool, I think.
Definitely.
So
do you remember the process of getting them through understanding that you're not going to play perfect every time, and that it's okay that you're going to make mistakes, you're going to have failures?
Yeah, honestly, I would say probably in every session at some point we talk about it. Mm-hmm. On some level, we'll discuss something great that's happened or something bad that's happened, and just work through it. Just have the discussion about what was good and what was bad and what created the bad or good situation, and build off it.
Mm-hmm. That's all you can do, right?
All you can do is talk about it, discuss it, and move on.
Yeah. What would golf look like if it was easy?
Isn't it?
At times it's easy. Sometimes it feels easy.
Right? Like the days that you're playing great, and it's like, okay, I can play 54 holes in a day, and I'm not tired at all. The days that you're really struggling, you play 18, and you can't wait to get back to the hotel or get home. But if it was easy for each of you guys, what would it be like? Or what would it look like?
I mean, I think it's definitely just a lot less stress. I mean, I think, but also at the same time, if golf was so easy, I don't think we'd want to play it every day. Because it's one of those things where it's like the fact that it's hard. I know my personality, and I'm pretty sure that Andrew has the same thing, is, that challenge is what makes you come back every day, because you're wanting to like conquer it and kind of get over that hump. So.
I would say the same. I don't think it would be as fun if it was easy, quite frankly. Because, like, even when you're playing your best in a round of golf, I feel like you're always faced with challenging shots that you don't, like, feel great about or stuff like that. And I feel like it's at those times that, like, when you overcome those or hit a good shot in those situations, that's when I find, like, a lot of the most satisfaction in the game.
Definitely.
So it's, like, overcoming the challenge or, like, almost, like,
once you get to a certain level, you know that there's always that anticipation of something going haywire, right? Because it's happening. Like you talked about, Bryson, that you have that golf PTSD.
Get that feeling sometimes.
You never forget that double bogey you made that you should have made birdie, right?
Right. Yeah.
So to me, that's always been, even when you're playing really good and things are going right, like, okay.
It's coming.
I know it's coming, just when.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have to, like, and the flip side of that is, like, how optimistic can you be, right? It's like, because as golfers, you remember the bad ones, right? Like, as humans, we're conditioned to remember the bad ones, actually.
You don't ever remember the good ones.
Right? But, like, can you, as you play the game and the days that are going, when it is easy and it's going really well, how can you keep yourself so present I'm just going to hit this shot on that green. I'm going to pick my target, run through your numbers. I'm going to finish the ball 3 paces right because it's a tuck left pin, and you just get so into that moment. So, and it's like you have this optimistic view of what you're going to do to try and, like, brush off, shall we say, or let pass by the double bogey, like PDA, moments, right? Like, it's because they're coming. Like the negative thoughts are coming. Like, and those images of, like,
the demons are
crap! There. Snap hook left is at some point is coming. Like, so how well can you adapt your mindset to get really into that moment of, and that's where I think course management helps, because it can get you, like, really present and let the double bogey swing pass by mentally, right? And get into that. Okay, I'm just going to hit it 3 paces right. Let me do that. That's how.
If you guys realize, even when you're not on your A game, if you're in not even your B, but your C, that if you think to do something that it tends to happen, or somewhat close, you can, where we talked about earlier, when you're playing bad, you can think your way around a course better.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, making smart decisions and understanding where your game's at that moment is really important. Because, like you were just saying, like, even if it's not going great and you know you're not at that A game, if you're able to assess that before you go out there, it definitely makes like decision making a lot easier, because it's like, all right, like I'm not going to be stupid and try to hit this over there. Like I'm just going to manage my game, play the course the way it's supposed to be played, and take advantage of the opportunities when they come.
Yeah. I think how you think about it is like pretty much most of the battle.
Yeah.
At least for me, I've noticed like my improvement in my game has been, in large part physical, but you could argue that like it was because maybe my mental approach had changed for the better, that those changes had followed.
Yeah, because even when you're playing good and you're managing yourself well, there comes a couple shots in that round where you have to hit it. And do you think that visualization or whatever you practice, where you just say, okay, here's where I'm going to hit it, and then you know it's not how you want it to feel, but you do hit that shot.
I just always believe in everything positive, pretty much. If you just fill your head with positive thoughts, positive things are going to happen, and that's what I believe in. And, if you accept or aren't afraid to hit a bad shot or anything like that, then I think that puts me in a good spot. Yeah. So what's been your biggest improvement in the last year, 2 years, 3 years?
I would say
time frame.
For me, it's just been short game. I worked really hard when I was young, just ball striking. I thought it was so important to be able to hit the ball really good. And once I got to college, it was like, okay, like I'm a pretty good ball striker, but like you can't score that well if you're not able to get the ball in the hole. So I think my chipping and putting's gotten a lot better, which has definitely helped me a lot.
I think mine has been in my wedge play, probably like my 100 to 150 yards. That part of my game has gotten a lot better in college. That's one part of the game that I learned is much more important. In junior golf, you can get away with hitting those shots to like 30 feet or 25 feet, which sometimes isn't bad, but with how far I guess I hit it off the tee, I'm faced with a lot of those 100 to 150 yard shots, and that's something we've worked a lot on. I used to not be very good at them. Give myself a little more looks nowadays. So
yeah, Andrew only has wedges in on second shot.
Yeah, I've never seen him hit an iron.
You got like every 2 degrees is his wedges, and then he goes a 3 wooden driver.
I carry 7 wedges.
It's a light bag.
Very light. Carry bag.
Tim, for your teaching, what have you gotten a lot better at in the last couple of years? Because I know you long enough that I know you don't just sit still. You're always
so
I
really enjoy like learning and like sucking people's knowledge who are way smarter than I am. So I would actually say about 7 years ago, I realized I wasn't good enough at wedge knowledge. So like I ran my own little like study, shall we say, with like got some data and like people who I thought hit wedges well, like try to figure out what they did and like try to attend some conferences as to. And I feel like my instruction from a chipping wedge game has like grown significantly because of it. And then my wife is very honest and she goes, Tim, like you got a lot of like really good ball strikers and wedge players, but they don't putt well enough. right. So like I'm trying to like be a better putting coach right now too.
What do you guys need to do to get to the next level, to get to the goals that you guys have set? So obviously, Bryson, yours to get your PGA Tour card. What do you think you need to do to this coming 2020 to get your tour card? I
think it's just strengthening, every area of my game just a little bit. I think I'm really close in pretty much every area. I drive the ball really well. Hit the irons pretty good. They need to get a little better, but chipping and putting's gotten a lot better. And it's just with pro golf, it's like 1 or 2 shots every week, and it's the difference between getting a card and not getting a card. And so it's just you can just figure out how to gain like half a shot in the off season. It's the biggest difference in the world. So that's my goal, is to just try to get a little better in every area.
Andrew, how about you? Play at the next level.
For me, it's just continuing to try and be smart in all the decisions and practice I make. So just getting a little better at every area of the game. Maybe a little more emphasis on my chipping and around the greens and still wedge play. And so if I continue to get those better, along with the other parts of my game, just trust and believe everything will work out.
That's right.
What would you guys tell someone, like Bryson, what would you tell Andrew that advice that he's going to go to the pro ranks, and Andrew, what would you tell a junior that's coming to a big school Division I golf? What advice would you give him?
I mean, with Andrew, I'd say just to keep working hard and doing what he does. Andrew's a hard worker, and he puts in a lot of work with Tim and everything, and really like focuses on what he needs to get better at, and that's really all you have to do. It's not, I say it a lot, but it's like, golf doesn't change. It's just what's around you, like you were talking about earlier. So like when you get to the pro ranks, it's the same as college as far as the golf. You're still hitting the shots, you're still having to make putts, but everything in the outside aspect changes, and you just have to get comfortable, and that's all it is.
Handling the variables.
The variables, exactly.
Andrew, if you had a young kid when we got done come up to you, and he's 16, he says, "Hey man, what do I need to do? What advice can you give me if I want to play at Virginia in a couple of years?"
Only thing I would say, maybe it's because I found myself at fault in this area, but like just come into school like humble and ready to learn almost, and kind of accept that it is a different level of play, and like you're gonna have to get better. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I mean, you see a lot of guys come in and they don't really start to like mold themselves or get used to the environment until like a year in or two, something like that. It's like
afraid to get out of comfort level,
ask questions, know that it's different. And I would say just don't be afraid to ask questions when you're there.
How about a young assistant that wants to be a teacher, Tim? What would you tell them? Top 100 teacher, I should say.
Someone really wants to get into like the teaching side of the game. It would be go watch some teachers. And just like watch lots of different teachers, just get different opinions, and then teach for free if you have to.
I told
because
people that
if you can't, like, you can read, there's so much, as we mentioned the internet earlier, there's so much great information out there. Like, you can go down some really unbelievably good rabbit holes, actually, in terms of like information about how the body works, how this club is moving, how the forces and torques you're putting on the club. There's some incredible information out there that's like readily available, like for people to learn, which is tremendous, and it's like pushing our industry forward as to how we can improve players. But you still gotta like talk to people.
Still a people business,
right? And so, if you're a young assistant pro and you want to get more into teaching, and you're at a club where there's really not much teaching going on, just say you'll give free lessons on your day off, just to get like the experience of like the message you provide, how a word, like one word, like can like click for somebody, and what that word means to them, and how they can change their body and club just because of a word choice you use, and it's different for everybody. That's why it's like the code is different between the two of them. Right. It's it changes.
When I went to Ferris State, the golf program, Mark Wood, you remember Mark?
I do.
He was in the early Golf Digest schools with Flick and Tosky and those guys, and he came and did our teaching seminar. We had to take 21 hours over a weekend. And he told us a story when he really wanted to get into teaching. He was an assistant, just like you said, and there was really not a lot of instruction at his club. And the pro told him, he said, "You want to be a good teacher? This whole next summer you're going to teach for free." And he hated it at first, but he says the best thing that ever happened for his teaching, because he was just booked.
Good.
I mean, he wasn't a shop.
You got to do volume. You're not going to be a good teacher if you don't teach. You can know everything there is about like a forces and torques that got applied to a club. But if you don't
you don't know how to relay it,
it doesn't matter.
You guys ready for some rapid fire?
Yeah,
sure.
Wrap this up. All right, now wait. Before we do, I did have a question that this came from a lot of people around the area and so on, and they wanted me to ask Andrew about your prom date.
ended up
about your date.
Yeah, that whole deal was mostly my old man, my dad. If anyone knows my dad, they wouldn't be surprised. But he got a little nosy. I guess everyone got an interview when they got to a certain level or a certain round in match play, and my dad just poked his head through the window and said, "Drew needs a prom date." So. But no, I ended up taking someone my own age.
So the backdrop, can I give him the backdrop? And I might mess it up. So Andrew was in the U.S. Junior, and it was locally here at Colleton River, right?
Yes.
And Holly Saunders said she would be your prom date.
Yes, yeah.
And I didn't want to ruin the end of it for anybody, so I wanted you to tell the story.
I don't know. It was something else. It was pretty funny. It was all over like Yahoo Sports and all. That was my like week of fame. So it was pretty funny. But.
That's pretty cool. All right. So, Andrew, we'll start with you. Is Holly still on your date radar?
I still got her number.
All right.
She just changed it.
She hasn't really been answering my text, so I don't know.
If she hears this, maybe she'll give you a call.
Hopefully. No.
All right. If you could have any emoji on your club, what would it be?
Shoot. I don't know. Maybe like the Chaka. I don't know. Not sure.
It would be for Bryson for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that. You always see over the smiley face with the buck teeth and the glasses.
Yeah.
That's goofy. People always say I look like that one. So.
Self-portrait.
On my clothes, yeah.
How about you, Tim?
Smiley face.
Smiley face. Cool. Biggest pet peeve?
Bad golf, I guess. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of pet peeves.
Not old enough yet, are they?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't
Andrew,
know.
any?
I can't say. Maybe when people put words into my mouth, that's when I don't like really very much. I've noticed. But.
Coach, you got one?
I would say from an instruction standpoint, I would say if I'm working with someone and their evaluation of their talent level doesn't match up. So they get way better during a session and they're still complaining about the quality of the shot. And I'm like, I was here at the beginning. It wasn't very good, you know? And now it's like straight and pretty far. Like, it's like, don't complain anymore, right? That would be it.
Biggest golf superstition? Do you have to do something on your ball? Do you have to market a certain coin? What's your biggest superstition?
Yeah, I always mark the ball the same. I think just line, 2 dots, same spot.
Do you have to be a certain number? Any superstition that you have. I mean, golfers are notorious for superstition.
I always do heads up, mark it on the green.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I try and limit the superstitions, to be honest with you, because I've seen some of my teammates how it can go haywire if they just don't have 18 tees in their left pocket or something like that. I don't know.
I've heard some bad ones.
I
bad ones.
try and steer clear. I don't know.
Tim, you have any for the tee? Lesson tee?
No, not really for the lesson tee. No. Thankfully, I'm not superstitious.
Blade or cavity back?
I just got a new set of blades.
There you go.
That's my
Really good
first
looking
ever
too.
set. So, but I love them so far.
Cool.
I would say that.
Cavity back, always have.
The most forgiving cavity back I could possibly buy right now, based on the volume of golf I play, which isn't that much right now. I need help, so give me as much help as possible.
Go-to word when you hit a bad shot?
Shucks.
Darn.
Gosh darn it.
Gosh darn.
Gosh darn it.
All right, well, I won't make you too uncomfortable. We can bypass that one. Any celebrities in your phone?
Andrew's already gone.
Bryson Nimmer.
Andrew Orischak, yeah. Maybe a couple golfers.
You don't have to say. You don't have to throw them out under the
a
bus.
couple pro golfers.
Well, we know who you already
Bryson.
answered.
Yeah, I guess.
Holly.
That can't still be her. I mean, I haven't texted her.
It's gotta be. You gotta text
There are
her
a couple
and check.
golfers that are.
Well, we should call her right now.
We
and put her on
should.
the cast.
Won't do that to him.
Go-to warm-up song?
Bob Dylan. I like old music.
Bob Dylan. You don't even. He was. You weren't even born when he was playing music.
I'm weird with that stuff, but Bob Dylan, I like him.
Luke Combs, probably.
Who's that?
Luke Combs.
Yeah.
Country music.
A couple more. If you had a spirit animal, what would it be? I think your coach knows the answer to you guys already.
Yeah, maybe he could answer for us.
We'll let Tim guess.
I mean, I don't know. Man.
I'll go with a tiger, I guess. Clemson.
Tiger?
Yeah, I don't know.
Any suggestions? I won't be offended. I'm not easily offended.
Personally, be a dog for me, without question. Andrew. I don't know.
Poodle? German Shepherd, Doberman.
We gotta get.
German Shepherd for Andrew. There we go. We'll go dogs brand specific.
There we go. Definitely.
If you could have anyone swing throughout history, who would it be?
It's not like mine, but I just love watching Lee Trevino hit balls. I love the rhythm and everything that he's got going on. So
I'd have to go with Hogan. I think Ben Hogan.
How about you, Tim?
Efficient.
You're a student of the swing.
I would say the power and the rhythm of Sam Snead. The vintage, like machine-like of Faudo in the early 90s, because he could it was like really straight but could control the ball in both directions.
Mm-hmm.
To be older, and then today's game, clearly like Andrew and Bryson. Right?
Dream foursome.
probably me,
Well, it's your dream foursome.
my
Yeah,
dad,
you gotta be in it.
my brother, and Tiger Woods.
Cool.
Yeah, it'd actually be the exact same.
His
Dad, brother,
dad?
and Tiger. Might make my dad a little mad.
How about you, Coach?
We got a theme.
Yeah.
Dad, brother.
Yeah.
My dad and brother. Just to make sure that's clear. And then player would be like you got to throw yeah. It's hard to not go with Tiger.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is. Like it's
It's just so interesting.
right.
So-
And
Well, I think
it's like the
Holly's
era
going to be
we-
mad she wasn't in yours.
right, but it's the era we grow up.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And I kind of love how Tiger's like coming back to being in the Dream Foursome.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Yeah.
about 5 or 6 years ago. I was helping out with like one of the little junior camps we have here, and Andrew, you may have even been here for this one. And at the beginning, Marcus, one of the guys who works here, asked the kids. There's like 8 of them, and they're all in that kind of 8 to 10-year-old range. It's like, who's your favorite golfer? And about 5 or 6 years ago, not one kid said Tiger. And I was like, that's
Crazy.
shocking.
Ricky
Yeah.
Fowler.
It's like Ricky,
Yeah,
Rory.
exactly. It was it was Ricky exactly 100%. And then, but now you ask the question like, it's Tiger again.
Tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took a brief hiatus from like the 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-olds loving him. Right? Now he's back in. He's back in the game.
It didn't take long.
Yeah, no, it didn't take long.
What do you guys got coming up? Where can people follow you?
I'm taking a little bit of time off, but I'll be playing again like January, doing qualifiers, try to get in some Corn Ferry events, and then as of right now, probably Canada over the summer.
They follow you on Canadian Tour website.
Canadian.
Andrew, you're back to school.
Back to school. I mean, my next tournament's my first of the spring with the Who's, so it'll be like mid-February.
I'll put your guys' Twitter handles and Facebook stuff so they can follow you and
Cool.
all that good stuff. How about you, Coach? What you got coming up?
Just trying to make people better. That's what I'm trying to do.
That's a simple but very compacted.
That's where I am.
thing.
I'm here or traveling, just a little bit, trying to improve.
Cool. This has been great. I think everyone's going to love it. Thanks, guys,
Thank you.
for making time on your vacation. Of
course.
And
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank
A
you.
lot of fun.
awesome. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you enjoyed it, you can find more information on today's episode and other topics at golf360.blog. There you'll find the show notes and links related to this episode, as well as any other episode that we've done so far to date. If you're interested in improving your game and would like to learn more from yours truly by taking a private lesson, a half-day or multi-day school, club or putter fitting, you can reach me through the blog site or by email, pete@golf360.blog. So some of you may be asking, what is the golf paradigm? All you have to do is click on the homepage while on my blog site to discover how you can start playing better than you ever thought possible. Or you can simply sign up again on the blog page for my instructional videos where I give regular tips on all areas of the game to include the swing, club design and fitting, health, fitness and nutrition, the mental aspects, and equally as important, the integration of all those things together. I'm also on social media, and you can find me at The Golf Paradigm. That's Paradigm, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, also under the same name, The Golf Paradigm. Facebook is usually the best way to reach me for questions and or comments, and I look forward to hearing what all of you have to say.